How's it going, everybody? Welcome again to Gearfacts, and is this a thing of beauty or what? Look at this Peavey Ecoustic 112 acoustic guitar amplifier complete with battle scars. That's what we like to see. I'm not much of an acoustic guitar player. In fact, I'm not much of a guitarist generally, but I'm just going to start playing on this amp and tweak some of the settings and see what we come up with. My acoustic guitar is a quart mid-range kind of vehicle. Let's see how it sounds. So that's with all settings on neutral. That includes the guitar as well as this equalizer here. Let's try boosting a bit of high mid-range, a little bit of middle as well, and get a bit more of a woody sound out of it. Okay, so our tuning was way out there. Let's try again. Oh, you hear the feedback there? We can suppress that using the feedback control. Very easy, very straightforward. If there's a particular chord that's giving you heaps of feedback, which does seem to happen quite a lot with acoustic guitar playing, all you got to do is get your frequency right and that'll eliminate it. Beautiful. Let's leave that at about halfway. Okay, let's try a more bassy sort of a sound. Scoop it out a little bit. A little bit more level. Now the reverb dial has been shaved off here, so I can't really show you the differences in reverb on this particular channel here. This is all the guitar channel on the left hand side here. I would need a screwdriver to change that, but I do have master control over here of reverb. And if I take that right down, I still have a bit of reverb creeping through from this side, which is set at about halfway. I've left it there just by default. Let's add a bit more reverb on the master channel and bring the presence up a bit. Again, just got to find the sweet spot and suppress it. Easy. Bear in mind I am extremely close to the amp, so let's just pull back on the levels. Not really fair on the amp to be this close and complain about feedback. Okay, let's flatten out our EQ again and play with this frequency response control. Probably hear that changing the personality of the sound a little bit there. Having it in the middle seems to give it a bit more middle power, but I do like a little bit more treble sort of sound. That's just my personal preference. I like the sound to ring out a little bit. That sort of finished that way because sometimes feedback can really work in your favor. I thought that was a really cool sort of oscillating kind of feedback sound. So as acoustic guitar amps go, this one I think has the most personality out of any that I've tried. We'll switch over to the mic input now and have a bit of a listen to how that sounds. Okay, so we're ready now with our microphone. It is a Behringer Ultra Voice, very generic microphone, similar to a Shure SM58. This is the first go I've had through the XLR input, and I'm certainly not going to sing, but there'll be a bit of check 1, 2 going on, and we'll see how it sounds. Test, 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 testing, testing. Whoa, there's the feedback right on about level 3. Bear in mind, I'm not even a meter away from the amp, so once again, I'm not going to make any complaints about feedback there when I'm so close. Let's try a bit of equalization. Peak in the center. Testing, 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 test, 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 test. A little bit less level. Now for vocals, there's not much you can do to help my voice sound good, but mid boosts seem to work generally pretty well for the kind of music that I play. And there it is for the voice. Let's try it scooped now. Plenty of bass there. Okay, now we have more of our radio announcer kind of effect. There is one little trick with equalization which I always can't resist trying, and that is to make it sound like I'm talking on telephone, which means dropping the lowest frequencies and boosting the middle as much as possible. Maybe a little bit of mid-high. Test, test, test. Hello, I am talking to you on a telephone. Obviously, you'd never use a sound like this for serious singing, but it's a good test of how the equalizer responds. Let's flatten out the frequencies again. Testing. Okay, so that's my natural voice sound. Increase the reverb to maximum. Like I said before, individual reverbs on the guitar and voice channel separately, and then you've got a master reverb as well. So let's reverb it right up. Hello. That is a pretty massive reverb. Okay, let's bring it back to something a little bit more sensible. Presence control also affects the master channel. Test, 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 test. And of course, where you set that will be very much contingent on the kind of venue you're playing. Small room, big room, what kind of sound obstacles are in the way, how much ambient noise there is. All those kinds of things can be dealt with effectively by where you set your presence control. So those are the general sounds of the Acoustic 112. I probably don't need to talk through this microphone anymore, do I? Let's unplug that. Yeah, so those are the general sounds of the Peavey Ecoustic 112. Love the appearance of it. I love all that copper colouring. And the way it's styled is really good. The only thing that's left for me to do now is to show you around the back of the amp. And here we are. We've got a pretty good control panel at the back. Remote foot switch there if you want to flick between sounds. This is where you plug in your momentary switch. This is great and affects send, return. So if you've got a pedal that you really like or a multi-effect system or something like that, noise reducer, on-off switch, anything, you can route it through this. Bottom one goes out, cable comes back and goes in with your pedal in the middle there somewhere. And that's always a really good way of doing it. Same with the microphone channel. Effect goes out through the top, wire it back in through the bottom. So you could have a really good duo setup using this one amp. Preamp out, that's if you want to send a signal out to a PA system or other amplification system of some kind. Or you can use a small power amp to go in before the Acoustic 112. So if you're using a booster pedal or something like that, I don't know. Never used it myself. Pros will probably have a bit more of an idea of how that goes. And then we've got direct out, which is used to plug the amp in through a mixing, through an XLR connection, to a mixing desk. This switch routes the EQ into that signal coming out of that XLR socket there. You can have just the instrument equalization going through, or you can have mic and the instrument going through. Down below, and you can't see it because the camera is kind of fixed in position, and also it's really dusty there and I'd be a bit too embarrassed to show you anyway, but it's got an actual reverb tank in it. It's not digital reverb or anything like that. So there it is, the Peavey Ecoustic 112. It's a really nice amp. I think it's a really sexy design, but it's got the sound to back it up as well. Really nice responsive EQ. Nice grubby reverbs, which is something that I personally like. I think it's got a really gritty style. And I think for people who are serious about their acoustic guitar playing, this could be a really versatile, nice, and nasty when it needs to be kind of an amp. I've also plugged my Fender Jaguar through this, and it works nicely as an electric guitar amplifier as well, although I probably would use an overdrive pedal or something like that to crunch up the sound a little bit. With the direct signal from the Jaguar, it's quite a jazzy sort of a sound, and I might play this video out with a little bit of that. In the meantime, thanks for watching Gearfacts, thanks for commenting or subscribing as well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Fender Jaguar Baritone Edition.